Welcome back. Right now, joining us is Royston G. King, founder and CEO of Master Scaling. Royston, thanks so much for joining us today.
Likewise, such a pleasure to be here speaking with you, Christine.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us. I'm curious about your background before we dig into what you're doing right now. You have been described as having a history of growth and also of scaling. So tell me a little more about that.
For sure. Prior to doing like what we're doing right now, which Master Scaling, we're an e-commerce growth partner, meaning we help grow and scale e-commerce brands to multiple millions dollars a year to 7, 8 figures precisely. And prior to doing this, like I was studying at the University of Melbourne, Australia, and I was studying at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. And prior to this, I had like a lot of like corporate work where I was working in the big four accounting firm like Deloitte. I was working at the big three management consulting firm like Bain and Company. But I always like knew, like I wanted like go into like entrepreneurship and run my own business. And that's why, I learned more about like digital marketing. And I had a clothing brand like in the past where I started at like 4 years ago. So that, really help forge a path in terms of learning how to grow and scale an e-commerce brand.
It sounds like you've always been interested in business. You started that business you mentioned, I think, at 17 years old. Also, I understand that you were an investor at a very young age. So, this is something that you've always loved and been drawn to?
Yep, that's correct. I gotta thank like my dad, runs his own business. So, whenever I ask him like what he does, he shared me, he's a businessman. So like that, gave some inspiration. And also his good friend, which like influenced me a lot, gave me a book to read on Warren Buffett. So that like inspired me to, go into the world of investing and to learn more about this. So, just thankful and lucky to have like a bit of an influence and exposure at an early young age. And yep, you're completely right. Right after high school, I started like this clothing brand, like it was my first e-commerce brand right off high school. Uh, and just dabbling around, but before things got serious down the line.
What led you to find your company right now, Master Scaling?
Sure. So master scaling, we're not just growing like e-commerce brands through paid advertising, but we are more of an ecosystem where we even have the potential and the ability to invest into e-commerce brands, acquire them or start them from scratch. And we right now we're primarily tapping into Facebook and Instagram advertising to scale e-commerce brand, but we also have other forms of channels of growing an e-commerce brand like text and email marketing, influencer marketing, selling on Amazon, whole wide variety of ways. And the most important thing that we identify and see first is if the brand has a really unique product where there are not many substitutes, not many competitors. That's where we can really come into in a blue ocean and take that brand and scale like a little puppy, all the way to the moon.
And you and your company is being described right now as the rising name in this new media marketing landscape. Tell me about that.
Sure. Yep, we have a ton of like case studies, results, testimonials, a lot of like accolades and stuff, and we're just like getting started. But the vision and the long-term goal is to be a conglomerate and like a group of and to own like a group of e-commerce brands and to scale them in different industries, verticals, and to be the best at what we do.
And you're an advisor to multiple million and billion dollar companies within Master Scaling. Tell me a little bit more about your clients and what you do to help these businesses.
Sure. It's mostly, drawing from like my extensive experience. And right now, like I'm running and investing and like partnering in a couple of like private as well as public ventures. Like one of my public venture that I recently like exited and sold this digital agency. It's called Chosen Contractors. I just like as exited it like in just like last week. That's like one venture I could name. So it's mostly like drawing on all these hands-on experience and real life world experience and sharing that and using those resources to help grow other brands, that I have past experience in as well.
I'm impressed by how you're making luxury in this online marketing space more accessible. Do you think that's a fair description?
Yep, that's entirely right. And exactly what you said.
So, how can we continue a conversation with you? What can we do to connect if we're curious about everything you do, if we want to work with you? What's the best thing to do to reach out?
For sure. For e-commerce brands, you can visit the website, masterscaling.com. You can book in a free time with myself or my team. And we'll just have like a quick introduction call with you, just to see if it's a good fit, to see, what we can potentially help you with. But on a personal level, you can connect with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm starting a channel over there, like Royston G King. And as long as like you have questions or anything, I'm more than happy to help and more than happy to connect with everyone.
And Royston, where are you based? And are you willing to work with individuals and businesses all over the world?
Yep. Like I'm a globe trotter and I've been to like many different countries and stuff. Right now, I'm primarily in Los Angeles, California. I really love it here after like studying at the University of Southern California. I did an exchange for my bachelor's of business administration over there. So, just really fall in love with the place. And this is like Los Angeles, California is my home base right now. But you're completely right, as long as it's a brand or company or business that we can potentially help and we see a lot of potential in, we're more than happy and more than willing to invest our time to learn more about it and see how we can potentially help. But a golden rule of thumb that we have is we never help businesses that we can't help, we can't genuinely help. Like if a brand is selling like an ethical product, a really great product, that's where we feel ethical and morally right to help that brand. But if it's a business that we can't help, we just politely turn them down.
Well, Royston G. King, thanks so much for joining us today here on Park City Television. It's impressive. You're very young. You've done so many things. You're inspiring many individuals to live out their dreams and helping many clients and companies all across the world. We appreciate your time here today. We'll be back with more right after this.